Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. Hi there, Jeannie. Good to see you. And to everybody else that is in the background at the moment, welcome. We always love it when you come to visit, and feel free to either join in the chat or don't, whichever you prefer. We don't really mind either way. It's always nice to meet you, though. So for all of us, it is the season to be stressed. How many of you agree with that? As you know, DearMamaSal is all about helping you cope and also helping those around you cope. And if ever there is a week where we need that, it has to be this week. I got allergies going. Hold on a second. So I just wanted to say that you are not alone. Hi, Jody. You are not alone if you're feeling a bit stressed this week, and that's what we're going to be dealing with in a number of ways. I wanted to just say, before we really get into the main part of it, whether we could give a thought. And the reason I wanted to add this in is because so many of us now know that we are probably getting closer and closer to getting a vaccine. You know, we've got it, but we're going to be able to actually physically get it. And some of us before others, I understand that. But I wanted to give a thought for a moment, and I'm certain a lot of you would agree with me on this, that not all countries will get it as quickly as others. And again, they won't necessarily get the top of the line one or whatever. And I was thinking that if we can, let us give a thought to those people in those countries who will have to probably wait months and months, maybe even a year, to get the vaccine. And then it won't necessarily be the one-shot one or whatever. So it's really, to my mind, time to give a bit of thought. It's the season to think about how lucky we are. And hi, Wanda, good to see you as well. I wanted to just say that you will forgive me for this one, but my question of the day is this. Listen very carefully to this because it's important. How do we know that all of Santa's reindeers were in fact girls? Anybody know the answer to that? And you know, it's a really, it's a very, very important thing to think about. And the reason that I thought I'd add it in was because I saw a comment somewhere this week, and it said, if you remember, that all the male reindeer shed their antlers in the winter. Therefore, all the ones that we see pulling Santa's sleigh have to be females. Hi, Isabel. And so, you know, when you look at it, it's just like, it's one of those things where you're all going to go, oh, I will be using that on somebody this week. So my next question, and you'll forgive me for this one, but you know my sense of humor. If that is true, hi, Chip, good to see you. If that is true, was Rudolph a cross-dresser? That would be my question. So I just wanted to let you know, we put up a little survey to ask people when they wanted the Christmas broadcast, because Christmas falls on a Friday. And everybody, well, 73% have said to do 2 broadcasts on the 26th, that is Saturday, and then do the Sunday one as normal. So just letting you know, I will put up some warnings on probably Thursday, just to remind people there won't be any broadcasts on Christmas Day. Now, I found some fun things that I hope for you. You know, you guys obviously enjoyed some of the stuff that we found about movies and things. And I thought you'd like to know that James Earl Jones, who was the voice of Darth Vader in Star Wars, the original, made only $7,000 for that part. He has since admitted that if he had taken the way that we were saying Alec Guinness did, if he had taken points rather than the salary, rejecting those points probably cost him tens of millions of dollars. How about that? So if ever you think you've made a mistake, think about that one. And I found all sorts of interesting little quotes like that. Now, we're going to be talking about the chaos of Christmas. And what I wanted to know is whether Jody and I are the only ones waking up in the middle of the night going, and I've got to remember, and I've got to remember. Is anybody else suffering from that at the moment? Because that's what we want to talk a bit about in a little while. So Sandy's going, me. And so we're going to be talking about that. But before I do, I just wanted to let you know that there was a question. How about this for a question? Which do you think is better for the environment? Pop cans or pop in bottles? Think about that. Do you want to get your Coke in a can if you're trying to save the environment? Do you want to get your Coke or your Pepsi or whatever in a can or in a glass bottle? Let's see what everybody says. Wanda's also saying, yes, I'm awake at 4:30 every day. Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about what we should have done and what we keep telling ourselves we're going to do, and maybe why we don't do it, and how to solve it for this year. So, any ideas on the pop cans versus pop bottles? What is your sense? Do you think it's better for the environment to, and presumably we all drink the occasional pop. So have you ever wondered, should I get it in an aluminum can or should I get it in a bottle? And I think the reality is, until we can refill the bottles, we may want to stay away from the glass ones, and I'll explain to you in a second why that is. Jeannie's saying, we keep telling people we're not interested in getting gifts this year and only giving to the grandchildren. We repeated it until it sunk in. Yes, you know, the funny thing is that I've got people telling me that they're not giving me gifts this year, and that's fine. But it still means that if I want to, I can give them. You know, and I have to say that I don't like it when people tell me what I need to do at Christmas. I've got to be quite honest about that. And I wonder if anybody else is like that. Just because you don't want to give me a gift doesn't mean that I can't give you one. And so, you know, that to me is one of those things that you can talk about. Sandy's saying, I would do a can only because I'm klutzy and I would drop the glass. And Jeannie's saying we reuse the bottles at all times. So that's a very interesting thing. And there's a glass bottles, not plastic ones, right? Jody's saying we only buy the cans. Well, I found a little bit of information on that I thought you guys would be interested in, because you know, we always like to recycle and reuse and things. So here's what I found out. The aluminum cans are lighter, and therefore they cost less to transport, and therefore are creating less carbon emissions. That's an interesting point. They contain 70% recycled material, because we do recycle the cans so well. And they can be indefinitely recycled. And in fact, they are the most recycled material. And virgin aluminum has a destructive mining process. And, you know, what I thought you'd like to see, though, is that aluminum cans require less additional packaging in order to transport them. So on all those things, they're a pretty good thing. Whereas with glass, they're heavier to transport, and therefore the transportation emits more greenhouse gases. The glass bottles for pop and sodas often contain approximately 45% recycled material, but it varies. It's only 45%, that's half of the recyclables in an aluminum can. We can reuse glass bottles we buy, but their recycling is energy intensive. Think about that. They're made with silica and industrial sand and gravel. Its mining usually has limited environmental impact, so that's good to know. And then understand that glass requires more packaging to transport safely. So interesting thing. Bottom line, better to buy the cans. So I thought you guys would like that. Well, Jody's saying, that's really interesting, Sal. I didn't realize that. Neither did I. And you know me, when I come across something where I go, I didn't know that. I go, if I didn't, the chances are some of my viewers didn't either, and they might appreciate it. By the way, how many of you promised yourselves you would plan ahead for this Christmas? And if the answer is yes, what stopped you? Let's get the answers to those. How many of you promised yourself you would plan ahead this Christmas, and what stopped you? Now, in terms of that question, I definitely needed to plan ahead, yes, because I knew I was without all my stuff, right? Because for those of you who don't know, Jeannie and I both had fires in our homes this year, and therefore we have lost. Jeannie's totally lost all her stuff, but mine is all in storage. So the two of us are dealing with Christmas without all the usual things that we would use at Christmas time. And I don't know if you guys can understand that. I refuse to buy too much again because it's just a waste of money. I've got it. I just can't get to it this year. So I did plan ahead and decided I would only do making chocolates and things for people this year because I couldn't do what Sandy is doing, which is the most beautiful gifts done on her Cricut. And if you haven't seen them, I will ask Sandy for permission to put up a couple of the things that she's made because they really are startling. And so, you know, and I'll put it up on Facebook if she's okay with that. And she's in the room. So, Sandy, because I'm certain everybody wants to ooh and ah because they're so pretty. Sandy's saying, yes, I intended to plan and I have no excuse. Okay, welcome to reality. Nyasha's saying, oh, and Merry Christmas to everybody. Yep, it'll be, in fact, if you think about it, this will be the last Christmas. This will be the last broadcast we do, but the next one we do will be after Christmas. So same to you and yours, Nyasha. Thank you so much. Jeannie's saying, I'm a planner. Nothing stopped me. I'm ready for Christmas dinner. Okay. Jody's saying, I did decide I needed to plan ahead. And I'm already telling myself I'll plan for next year. In fact, I've started document for next year. And I've started it already. I don't know what stopped me. I think the pandemic had me distracted. Absolutely. Wanda's saying, I plan ahead because I'm working from home this year. Well done. And Jeannie's saying, I made the rumbles without the usual utensils. Yes, I'm definitely making do with stuff. So well done on that one. Sandy's saying, I don't mind you sharing here, but not on Facebook. Oh, good point. Maybe we'll share them after Christmas so people can see how beautiful they are. How about that, Sandy? Jody, could we make a note to get some screenshots of those, and then we'll if Sandy says it's okay, we'll put them up after Christmas so people can see what they did. And if any of you are super talented at Christmas gifts, feel free to send us pictures, and we'll have we'll put them up after Christmas for people. How many of you realized that your time is more valuable than the stuff? And to remember that having time with people will actually be more valuable than the things. But the truth is, this year we can't give people that time. And so one of the things that I wanted to say, those of you who have said we are not giving gifts this year, I just want to go back on that, because that I understand. But what I said to my sister, and I say to other people as well, which is, when you put out that edict, the expectation is we're not giving any, therefore don't give us any. But I always say, I'm a giver. So to tell me that I should not give any gifts is taking away my joy of Christmas. And, I understand you don't want to give gifts, and I'm not asking you to give me one. But the truth is, I like to give gifts. And in fact, I've already given a lot of my Christmas gifts to people, and one of them months ago, right? Because I knew that it was something I wanted them to have for the Christmas time. And so, and so you think about that, it's a different things for different people. I would say that a lot of us are probably going, phew, there are certain people I won't have to sit and eat dinner with this year. And by the way, are any of the viewers not abiding by the, don't have people over for Christmas rule? Because I think that's pretty worldwide this year now, that they're saying, only the people that you live with. Or in my case, because I live alone, I am allowed to visit my pod, my mini pod. Nyasha's saying, despite what's going on for her, I bought a couple of gifts this year for my niece. Yes, I quite agree. Interesting. Benji's saying that they have bought presents for Mama and Papa only. That's not true. I know that's not true, Benji. And I love you dearly. Or maybe you are receiving them from you're going to see them only. Okay, got it. All right. So, forgive me for that one, Annie. I'm sitting. Yeah, no, that's not true. Wanda's saying, I am no one is welcome in my home this year. Yes. And I think a lot of people, I thank you for that. And as I said, be aware how fortunate we are that we are going to get a vaccine when some of the third world countries probably won't get vaccines, for maybe a year. I'm thinking, I wonder when Nyasha in Trinidad and Tobago will actually be able to have a vaccine. So you don't have to talk about it, but think about the people that normally you have to deal with at Christmas that you won't have to deal with this year. That's probably a good thing. Now then, for how many of you are definitely waking up in the middle of the night now and having, that sort of, oh my gosh moment? And what I wanted to say to you is that is quite normal. And I'm going to be talking to that. By the way, did you know that Jennifer Lopez, other than being a highly successful singer and actress, she actually was quite the businesswoman, and the clothing line that she founded back in 2004 earned her $300 million in revenue that year. And in 2011, apparently, she tops the Forbes list of the 100 most powerful celebrities in the world. Yeah, that's not a bad bit of business acumen there. Jeannie's saying, sometimes our family gives too much, too expensive gifts they cannot afford. I was brought up differently. I never to expect things. I often received clothes that didn't fit. Yeah, and that's understandable. But think of it not about, was this of value to me? Did it fit me? Whatever. Think about that they cared enough to give you a gift. That's what I really am trying to get to here. That it's not about the value of the gift or anything else. It's that they thought enough about you to do that. Now, I think that is more important, right? To me, that is more important. But maybe I'm alone in that. So this will be a year that probably will all get far less gifts than we got before, if you think about it. And that's okay. I am wondering how many of you will actually go to a Christmas service this year. How many of you will go to church for a Christmas service? And how many of you say, no, I want to protect myself and the fellow parishioners, and I'm going to stay home and see it on television? Or I'm going to watch it on a podcast or something. So think about that as well. You know, it's like, what are you going to do to stay safe? Right, Jodie's going to be watching Midnight Mass on TV. And I think that is a very important thing. And I think in a lot of ways, this year will do wonders for churches in terms of more and more people will perhaps attend Mass just because they don't have to leave home to do it. Interesting. Jeannie's saying, I have not gone to church in over 8 months. And so, yeah, but some people have, and, you know, everybody makes their own choice in this. And Jeannie's saying she misses it. I think, I am certain that a lot of you who were regular churchgoers are missing it, absolutely. But it doesn't mean that you can't love God as much or, you know, do all of those things as much, right? So think about what is it that you miss. And Wanda's saying, I do mine on television. Today, candlelight service this morning. You see, if you want to go to church, there are ways of doing it today. We're so lucky. And Nyasha in Tobago is saying, our family consists of 3 members, me, my mom, and dad, and we normally celebrate it alone anyway, but our meals and our delights are normally shared between our extended families. Yes, I would ask you to be much more forgiving of timing this Christmas. In other words, people may deliver gifts to you, but they may be later, all right? Because they're still trying to finish them. Because getting what they needed has taken longer. I thought you might like to hear this one as well. Did you know that Julia Roberts, after she won the Oscar for Best Actress on Erin Brockovich, she was, you know, given the opportunity to play Leanne, you remember in The Blind Side? And she actually turned it down. And the funny thing was, with Julia Roberts showing a lack of interest in the role, the producers approached Sandra Bullock, who not only seized the part up, but also won an Oscar for it. And, you know, the funny thing is, why did Julia Roberts turn it down? Well, she was putting her energy towards another movie called Valentine's Day, which did nothing for her career. And now, if you wanted a smile, she also turned down the part to play the lead role in The Proposal. And you know that Sandra Bullock took that one as well. And don't we all remember that? So I just thought, you know, when you make these mistakes, understand everybody does. It's not just you. And it includes the famous people. And here was another one that I found that I thought would really rock your boat. Listen to this one. How many of you remember Burt Reynolds? And I want to tell you, I had no idea about this, which is why I threw it in here. Did you know that Burt Reynolds was in the running to play the lead in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and turned it down? And I cannot imagine anybody else playing that part of Randall P. McMurphy other than Jack Nicholson, all right? I don't know about you, but that was so Nicholson. It was just amazing. I just cannot imagine Burt Reynolds playing it, but it gets worse, people. Listen to this one. Can you imagine Burt Reynolds playing Edward Lewis, the Richard Gere part in Pretty Woman? I mean, was that made for Richard Gere or what? And I don't think that Burt Reynolds would have been nearly as good in that part. And that chemistry would not have been that good. I just think, you know, to even try and get my mind around the fact that anybody other than Richard Gere would play that part. It was just, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And Jodie saying that part was made for Richard Gere. Yeah, absolutely. As was An Officer and a Gentleman. So you look at it and you go, now then, Burt Reynolds again. He turned down another major opportunity. He had the opportunity to play John McClane. That's the Bruce Willis part in Die Hard. And look how many more movies were made in that thing. And I'm going, really? What was he thinking? But the one that really blew my mind, and he must have been so much a box office draw at the time that they did this, but can you believe that he was their number one pick for Han Solo in Star Wars? Burt Reynolds. And aren't we all just so happy Harrison Ford got the part instead? All right, so Niash is giving us an update about what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago. She's saying, we, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, were advised not to have anyone over for Christmas due to the virus. So I'm not anticipating anything this season. Good for you. Sandy's saying, off topic, to show you how behind I am only now watching the Christmas PJs, which have been, are you just watching or wrapping them? That have been in the house at least a month. Yeah. Washing. Oh, okay. So so you wash them before you give them. Hi, Charlotte. Always a pleasure to see you. Anyway, wasn't that interesting about Burt Reynolds? I had no idea he'd been offered all those parts and didn't take them. Huh. All right, so I'm going to, Jodie, can you remind me to go back to pick up a few more of those towards the end, because I have quite a few of those, but I'd like to get on to our main subject. Yeah, you win some, you lose some, right? And if you can remind me to go back to slide 14, and I will pick up some more later. By the way, if there is a subject about which you'd like us to speak, please write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com, and we will add it to our list if it's something that I think that people will enjoy. Just a reminder again, no broadcast on Christmas Day. We will do both the Friday broadcasts on what the English call Boxing Day, that is on Saturday the 26th. I would like to say that coping with stress at this time of the year is getting off the major hamster wheel. And, you know, it's just like this. Jodie was saying to me, bye-bye, Benji. Jodie was saying to me that she woke up in the middle of the night. And, you know, she woke up in the middle of the night thinking about crochet hooks. She needed a crochet hook. And the funny thing is, she doesn't need it for Christmas. She does not need it for Christmas. She needs it because she wants to keep her joints moving, and she thinks that crochet will help. I've often wondered about that, Jodie, whether crochet and knitting helps people with arthritis or does it make it worse? So I presume if you're thinking about doing it, that it actually is a good idea to keep those joints going. I woke up in the middle of the night thinking about all the things I have not baked and made yet. And that, really got me quite upset. So I thought I'd just go through a couple of things about this waking up, because we've only got a few days to go and it's likely to happen more. Number one, Jody, I don't know what you did, but what did you do to still the voice? Sandy's saying, crochet kills my wrist. I have to wear a brace. That's what Jody is going to be doing as well. But the thing is it good to be using it even if you're wearing a brace? That's what I would like to know. And I'm certain other viewers, it's like I've got arthritis in this joint here, and it's very difficult for me. And so I always wonder, should I be using that joint more? Like doing things like this, apparently. Oh, so Jody, in order to get the voice to calm down, did something which I think is very clever. She put on some Christmas music and meditated. I've got my go-to different binge type programs that I put on to go to sleep. I've got a new one that I found, and I'm still on episode 1 of season 1. But as soon as I put that on, I just go, and it's been about 3 nights now that I've been trying to watch. I go to bed with my tablet and I put it on with the idea of, just watching it while I go to sleep. And guess what? And so there must be something about the voice tones or whatever that really do that. What did I do? I actually am inclined to take notes. When I wake up like that and I'm in a hamster wheel situation, I take notes. Do any of you? I like to think that first of all, I thank my brain, because my brain is trying to remind me of something that it thinks I have forgotten. And so therefore, I think it's really polite to say thank you. Do any of you agree? And I say, thank you very much. And I make a note. Now, either I will have a notepad next to my bed, but I nearly always have my tablet with me. So I'll just quickly write a note in my day timer before I forget it. Now, if you try not to take a note or whatever, do you understand that your brain is trying to help you? They'll keep saying, yes, but hang on a second, what about the crochet hook? So you have to tell your brain, it's okay, I don't need the crochet hook until New Year. So if I still haven't got it after New Year, feel free to remind me again. Jody's saying, Sal, I took notes too. I fell asleep writing a list and woke up to something that looked... Yeah, that's why. And she said it looked like scrolls, so she couldn't read it. Interesting. Wanda's saying, that's when I take my walks to think and protect my peace. Well done. Jody, I think we can all relate to that. Middle of the night writing is not the best. That's why I now put mine on my phone or on my tablet, because at least I type better than I write at that time of night. So number one, do you understand that? Understand your brain's trying to help you, and understand that thanking your brain is a really good place to start. And so listen up, right? Don't try and ignore it. Listen and say, thank you for reminding me. Now let me do something about it so that you'll shut up. Niasha's saying, I'm finally ready to start my journaling. I bought a couple of books to start my adult. I think it's wonderful to be journaling. It's very interesting what the mind brings to you when you journal. I've got a friend of mine who's journaled for years, It takes a lot of discipline, after the first couple of weeks. But if you've got the ability to do it, that is wonderful. I believe Jackie Onassis did it all her life. Am I correct in that? That she literally wrote a journal all her life. And I think she said they may not be published until 30 years after her passing. So can you imagine what's in those about her time in the White House and what was going on with Jack Kennedy and wow. Or John F., whatever you want to call him. But, it's just like, wow, can you imagine? I also am a great believer in telling my mind when I'm going to need that again. You heard me say, Jody, you might want to tell your mind you won't need this until after New Year. Because I think it's really important for I call it the librarian in my mind, to know how far deep they need to file this until the next time. The other thing is, if I don't need that crochet hook until New Year, I will put it into my day timer and then, probably have it come back to me about New Year's Day or before. And the chances are, Jody, you will find it before then. Jeannie's saying, before bedtime, York and I thank God for the day, pray for various people, including our dear MamaSal friends. Isn't that kind of you? Thank you. And ask for his help with our country, Canada, and Israel, and our families. Yes. Why not the world? That's an interesting question. I mean, it's your right to pray for whichever country you like, but there's part of me that goes, right now, I think the whole world needs your prayers, Jeannie, because you got good prayers. Anne says that this calms us for our sleep. Yes. I'm absolutely amazed. Some of you have seen it go down, but have any of you seen when the girls do their prayers at night? That made me cry. I have to tell you, that made me cry. That's a long list those girls go through every night. And, it was just like... the first time Judy told me that the girls had me in their prayers every night, I went, oh yeah. When I heard it, I cried. I've got to say. Nyash is saying, I want to take down notes from what I've heard during the broadcast, for example, that depression is anger turned inwards. And that's just my belief. Yeah, and Benji's saying MamaSal is always on that list. Well, Benji, I want to tell you something that when I heard where I was on that list, I think that's what stunned me. The fact I was on the list just touched my heart, but it was just like, really? And it's just like, there's something about knowing that somebody cares that much about you. And I think you can all understand that, particularly now when I can't go and visit them, it's even more important to me to know that. And it's just like, when I say more important to me, I realize it might be another year before I can go and visit. And goodness knows, let's hope we're all alive a year from now. So, to me, it's very important. And I'm so glad to know that it happens. It's very important. I keep saying to everybody, please be very aware that more than ever before, when you talk to anybody, make sure they know you love them, because we really don't know who's still going to be around next year. And from some of the stories that I've heard, and I'm certain you all have, some of the most incredibly fit and okay people have got this virus and within a week are gone. And so therefore it's we don't know. It's not just the old or whatever. And I think it's really important that we do that. Now, I asked Jody to help us on this, what to do if you haven't got lip liner. And I found out a couple of things. Jody was saying that try chapstick. If you haven't got lip liner, right, and you do happen to have lip gloss. No, it's not lip gloss, is it? Chapstick is more Vaseline. Anyway, she's saying put that on the outside. And that to me is a very interesting thought. What I did today, Jody, just to try it, was I took a little bit of foundation and I just put it across the outside and then put my lips together. Mm-hmm. And then I put the translucent powder over it before I even started to put my lipstick on, and it seems to have worked. Sandy is saying, yes, she's getting worried about her sister and family in South Africa. I have a brother in South Africa, and I quite agree. You know, I'm very concerned. Niesh is saying, Sal, I believe it's true because before I became a listener, I had been depressed due to the fact that I'd been told that I cannot do anything due to being disabled. Yeah, I just, you know, I'm just so grateful you found us, Nyasha, and I'm so grateful that you know, listening to the broadcasts have helped you. I would just give an update. I haven't heard an update on Baba recently. I hear, for those of you who go back a long way, I hear that Boston Paul was in hospital recently, but I did get an update on my friend and found out that he did have his brain op for the brain tumor, and they managed to get 95% of it out, just so that you know. And he is home. He went home yesterday. So I managed to get that update. And you know, it's so difficult for me not to be able to go there and give them both a hug and be who I am. But it is what it is. So I'm just learning that getting stressed about that is not going to help them or me. So I'm just going to accept that I can do very little now, except, you know, constantly write and tell them I'm thinking of them and do those sort of things. Now, I saw something on a very positive note. I saw something that I thought was incredibly clever. I haven't tried it, so I don't know if it works. But you know me, if I see it, I'll share it. If ever you've wanted to have the perfect match of your lipstick with your nails, consider putting your lipstick on your nails and then clear coating it. I've never done it. So I don't know if it works, but I saw it done live and it looks like it works. So I thought I'd share that. Nyash is also saying that, you know, then she also heard when she was listening to DearMamaSal that the only way you get out of the hamster wheel is to become proactive, to go do something. Absolutely. And, you know, I think those words, Nyasha, I wish I'd known that earlier in my life. You know, like if you keep worrying about it, it's not going to help anybody. What are you going to do about it? And the answer is either nothing, in which case get off the hamster wheel, because the hamster wheel is not helping, or yes, I can take this one step forward. And, you know, Jody's saying prayers for all our extended DearMamaSal family. Yes, we have so many that are not well at this time. So I think that's wonderful that we keep doing that. So the next thing I want to say is, how many of you have gone out of your way to look for laughter in order to de-stress yourself from the chaos of Christmas? This is not talking about Janie, who's totally under control or whatever, but the rest, you know, the rest of the people who are not yet ready. Have you found that maybe putting on a movie helps you de-stress? What is let's find that out from people. How do you de-stress when you start being on the Christmas hamster wheel where you're going round and round going, oh, I haven't done this, I haven't done this, I haven't done this. We know that being on that hamster wheel, saying those things doesn't get you anywhere, right? It's not going to help you finish anything. So number one, you need to, as Nyasha so rightly said, you need to stop and go, okay, fine. What am I going to start working on right now? All right. So Wanda's saying, you've done the shopping. That's a good start, right? Now it's just a case you've got a couple of days left to wrap. And I'm about halfway through the things I wanted to do. One of the things that I realized could get me right off the hamster wheel if I just said stop. Stop, because I literally have at least one present for everybody. All right. So I could stop and not have as much as I would like to give people, but I would have one thing for everybody. I've already got that far. Interesting. So Jodie's saying when she wants to laugh, she watches the Muppet Christmas Carol. It makes her happy. She's a big Muppet fan. And then Nyasha's saying she'd never heard about the hamster wheel, and then I explained it, and it reached me, and thankfully I put it into practice, and I'm a lot happier. So I'm definitely going to take note of it because it helped me tremendously. Well, it's these little things that really make a difference. I've always said to you that Benji, you remember how many times you've heard me say, Benji's tip to me, if I want to lose a lot of weight, stop putting the garbage in my mouth. It's quite simple, right? So it really, I think life's best lessons are very simple. Benji's saying, when I want a good laugh, I stand-up comedy. I'm not stressed from holiday shopping, but I definitely need a laugh once in a while. Exactly. And he goes on to say, I think stand-up comedians ironically have the greatest gift for anyone unhappy or depressed, considering they usually are the ones that are exactly that. Yes. As a stand-up comedian type person myself, it is very true that the majority of really good comics actually have depression in their lives or have had it. And you'd be amazed how many of the famous comics actually committed suicide. And their way of coping is to see the funny side of what's happening in their lives, which is why it's so funny. And I've always said that I don't have to tell jokes to make people laugh. When I was on stage, I never needed to tell jokes to make people laugh. I just had to tell them my truth and go, am I the only one who, right? And it's amazing that is a truth, and it is a sad truth. So watch the comedy programs, all right? I think if ever I want to de-stress, I just have to put on the Carol Burnett replays, and I am crying with laughter. I don't care how old they are still some of the funniest comedy, because those skits were they so much of the time they were trying to make each other laugh, right? And that to me was what made it so funny. It wasn't just how brilliantly it was written, but also when you think about the incredible chemistry that all of them had together. And, they never knew what the other person was going to do. Yes, Tim Conway and Harvey were just beyond brilliant, but so was Carol. And so was, what's her name? They were all just incredibly talented. And, you just knew you were going to cry with laughter. And I want to tell you, I can put on one of those skits and I'm gone for about an hour because I'll just keep watching the next one and the next one because they are so funny. So look for laughter. Vicki Lawrence, thank you very much, Jodie. How many of you, when you get into this hamster wheel of chaos about Christmas, actually stop and pray? And I think a lot of you have faith. And therefore, think about that. Think about, is this what Christmas was meant to be? No. And go back to the original reason for Christmas. Wanda's saying, I was watching some comedy the other day to keep from listening to the depressing news. Very good idea. I'm not saying don't be aware of the news, because you know I'm a great believer that we all need to be aware of what's going on around the world, but also to balance it out with comedy is a great idea. Yeah. Or, watch the Snowflake Falls channel. What's it called? W channel, right? See the love stories, all right? That also helps. You know what's going to happen. It doesn't matter. I just like going, and how are they going to get there this time? And I don't know about you. I just had no idea when I lived in Europe that there were that many available princes. Had I known that, I might have stayed. So just remember, if you have faith, take a moment to pray for what? Think about this. What are you going to pray for? What are you going to pray for when you're in the hamster wheel? And I found that's what happened to me, is I said, okay, let me just remember what Christmas is about. Do you have at least one present for everybody? And the answer is yes. Then you don't need to be panicking anymore, because at least you have a present done for everybody, and that's, shows that you care. Also, be aware, in case you're not aware, that the amount of darkness we have in our lives around Christmas time is the worst in the year, right? What is it? The equinox is tomorrow, isn't it? Isn't it the 21st, the equinox? Jody will remind me. And if so, think about this, that as of tomorrow, the days are going to get, for those of us who live north of the equator, our days are going to start getting longer. And yes, Jeannie's saying that they also pray for the doctors, including doctors, vets, veterinarians, and their priests. Yes, great. And so I look at it and I go, take a moment to be really thankful for what you have. All right? Really thankful for what you have, because we are so fortunate. And I look at it and go, are the people who've decided not to give anything smart in that? Because they don't have that stress. And I'm not saying that you should or should not. I just ask you to say, why do we do as much as we do? And why do we do it all in the last 2 weeks before Christmas? We all know people who buy Christmas gifts all years for people. And so by the time it gets to Christmas, it's done. Think about that. Bye, Nyasha. Have a wonderful Christmas, honey. Thank you for being here. And to me, I also would like you to remember for next year, it is the thoughtful gifts that people, I think, appreciate the most, right? When I say thoughtful gifts, it's like, that they need X, Y, and Z. You bothered to find that out. And you kept notes, and, come Christmas, you knew what to give them. And yes, Janie's saying, every time I see that I have a warm apartment, plenty of food, clothes, I am so thankful. And thankful for our lives. Absolutely. And I would encourage you all to feel the same way. And to give the prayers that we all are here having the same sort of conversation next year. That we can be thankful that we survived another year. All right? Think about that, because I think that is worth our time and effort. And think about all those people who are overseas right now, maybe protecting the world, who, their Christmas shopping is a lot more difficult than ours, but they still did it. And they still, know that perhaps the greatest gift that they can give each other is just the sight of them. So are any of you making time to visually see each other around Christmas? All right. Benji saying, I'm like Mr. Scrooge and Santa combined. I don't expect gifts or regularly give gifts at all. However, when I know there's something someone close to me or even a stranger needs a gift, I give it to them without hesitation. Oh boy, do I know that one. Absolutely, Benj. And I think and you also keep incredibly good notes. I know that. I know that for two reasons. Number one, I taught you to, but also, Benj, I know that because you have absolutely stunned me with the notes that you have kept on me over the years. And so I look at it and go, it is about the fact you cared, not the value, but you cared. And I think it is really, really important this year that we understand that at a whole different level. And that we understand that everybody is on the hamster wheel this year. Well, not everybody, but nearly everybody. And I look at it and I go, be so aware that if you are waking up in the middle of the night thinking about this, can you think about my friend, his husband, just had a brain operation? Do you think that they got a few more things to worry about right now? And, I look at it and go, let us make sure we keep this Christmas in perspective. I also, one of the greatest ways I de-stress about Christmas is I move the date. In other words, I will say, I got your presents, and they're not going to be ready until around New Year. Can we make a plan to exchange them about then? It's like, you don't have to do it on Christmas Day. And if you haven't finished wrapping, wrap the ones that are essential for Christmas Day, which are your children, presumably. So the other ones, they don't even have to be delivered before Christmas. I'm great believer in celebrating Christmas week. It's just like somewhere in that week, it should arrive. So think about that and think about the stress that we give ourselves. And if you have been late for Christmas every one of your years of your life, also be aware the chances of you being on time for Christmas is zero unless you change the way you do it. So let me ask you all that question. What could you do next year that would help you not get into the hamster wheel in the last week of Christmas? Wow, that's interesting. Jeannie's saying her granddaughter and husband both have COVID and are in quarantine. They are 23 years old. Yep. I'm so sorry to hear that, Jeannie. But I was seeing the age group change over the last little while, and it's amazing. So please, everybody, be aware. If you've got people in your family that are young, make sure they know how hard this is hitting young people, because young people are just not listening to the fact that they need to be isolated. I don't know what we do about that. I was horrified to hear time and time again that apparently the discussion on on Pennsylvania Avenue was that let's just let everybody get sick and then it'll be easier. I don't know about you, but that didn't happen. That discussion didn't happen once or twice. It was like, don't worry about this or that too much, because if we let everybody get sick, it'll be over with. Well, that's also not true. And so I look at it and go, Christmas is a time for us to just be so grateful. So grateful. I have decided not to go for dinner tonight so that I can enjoy 2 days of visiting my pod. I'm going to be visiting them on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And so to me, this is like make your choices as wise as you can. Yes, Sandy's saying that for a large part, the young people think that they are immune, and that is terrible. And the terrible thing is that they will be proven to be wrong. And the other thing that for some reason the young people don't seem to get is that they could be spreading it without knowing they've got it. I wonder how long it will be before we have an at-home test for the virus. Because it will make multi-millions to some company, I'm pretty sure it's coming pretty soon. And I don't know about you, but I have no idea whether I have had it or am a carrier for it. Do you? Oh, Jeannie's saying they think they got it from a guy at Wayfair who went around without a mask. That is the company? I want to tell you, if anybody who delivers to me arrives without a mask, I let the company know that that person, delivered this without a mask on. So on Christmas Eve, Ontario's in full lockdown. So they're not letting anybody visit anybody for Christmas. I think as difficult as that is, this is called, do you want to do this and live? It's Ontario. You're very high. You're very high on the list, Sandy, in Ontario, and Quebec is high as well, right? Yeah. So look at this and just go, yes, Chip is saying, I heard there's a new strain of COVID is out. I heard that as well. I didn't want to unnecessarily worry a lot of people. They're trying to, if I understood it, Chip, and help me if I get this wrong, but from what I read, they're not sure if it's a mutation of the first one. In other words, that it is something that is developed because of the first one. And I think they're going to have to do a lot of research into what exactly that is. And it's the same, as I was saying, we've heard that it also has reached into the animal kingdom. And so if that is true, then, if you've got freezers, I would definitely fill your freezers with meat now while you can, because if that starts to affect the beef or pork or anything, you are going, getting meat's going to be very difficult and very expensive. And chicken, anything. So I would, as fast as I could, I would buy, as bigger amounts of meat as you can. In other words, don't buy pork chops, buy a loin. And by the way, it's a much cheaper way to buy it anyway. Don't buy chicken breasts, buy a whole chicken. And you fill up your fridge and freezer. So, stress, as we keep saying, this is not about just that we've got Christmas stress. If you think about it, I was thinking about California has 0 ICU beds available. Think about the impact of that. The risk to our health is huge. In other words, if you live in California and you have a heart attack, where are they going to put you? And if you understand that that is what the issue will be, then that is really something to get our brains wrapped around. Thanks, Jody, for the reminder. Okay, let's do some fun things here. Did you know that Brad Pitt turned down the role of Jason Bourne in the Bourne Identity and so forth, the Bourne films? And, you know, it really makes me laugh because, you know, I'm sure that Matt Damon's very happy that he did. And you might ask, what was more important than that role to Brad Pitt? Apparently, he decided he wanted to take the role of the CIA agent in Spy Game. Now, do any of you remember that movie? It's just like, you know, oops. And talking of Jack Nicholson, which we were in terms of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, who was smart enough to get that role, listen to this one. And I like this. Apparently, Jack Nicholson, when he accepted the role of the Joker in the 1989 Batman movie, he accepted a salary of just $6 million, even though his average salary at the time was over 10. The contract that he signed, however, did include a stipulation that he would earn percentage of the film's total earnings, including sales of the film's merchandise. As we know, Batman as a movie was an overwhelming success at the box office, grossing over $411 million worldwide, the equivalent of over $847 million in today's terms, apparently. And Nicholson ended up earning more than $50 million for that role. That would be about $103 million in today's money. So he turned down $10 million, only took $6 million. And shame. That decision brought him in $50 million. Now, if Jody reminds me, maybe I should research, or Jody and I will research the opposite of that. People who thought movies were going to be an absolute blockbuster and they turned out to be bombs. Because the truth is, we all make mistakes, even the people who know what they're doing. True? So I look at it and go, the hamster wheel of our life is going to be going pretty fast. So here's what we know. If you start going, I haven't, understand that is a waste of time. Write down what your mind is telling you you haven't done. Okay, Sandy, good to see you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we love you, Sandy. Keep those pictures coming. Understand that the only way to stop the hamster wheel is to do something about it. So write down what you haven't done and then decide, do I have to do it? Will the world come to a screeching halt if I don't do it? Or will my ego be affected? Think about that. Think about how many of these things that we do at Christmas are about us, not other people. Now, I was pleased to hear in a broadcast on Friday, I said that I had actually ordered myself some of my perfume because I've lived without my favorite perfume for 3 months. And I was pleased to hear that Jeannie did the same thing. She decided she'd get her perfume, some perfume as well. And I was delighted to hear that because, you know, I think that makes a big difference. So even something about that, literally, I don't know if any of you found this, but sometimes just putting perfume on just relaxes you. You feel different. All right, so Jeannie's saying, I've been helping, advising a friend to get off the hamster wheel, and I think she's trying to do so. Yes, the question that I always ask myself is, what am I stressing out about? And the answer normally is, I haven't done enough. I haven't done enough. That's what the answer is. And I go, actually, what's enough? Really, think about that. What is enough? And if you have made or bought one present for everybody, that is enough. The rest of it is overboard. Right? And if you bought them but you haven't wrapped them, may I ask you, has anybody ever given you a present and said, listen, I got the thing, but I haven't had time to wrap it? Or will you do what most people do, which is, take one evening and literally put on, the Hallmark Channel or whatever, and just sit and just wrap in one evening? Interesting. Jody's saying, I love wearing my favorite perfume. It's a mood lifter and sensory therapy. That's why I wanted to add that doing that. I also asked myself, what's stressing me out? What is it that after 3 months of being in lockdown and isolation and away from my home, what is stressing me out? And I realized that it's the little things that are important to me that I decided I was going to spend Christmas money on. So I have bought myself a new Fitbit watch, and I think the bands for it have already arrived, and the actual watch will arrive by Saturday probably. It doesn't matter. That's that I wanted to get my Fitbit back. Yes, and Jeannie's saying she's wrapped hers in thin tissue paper. And tissue paper is that thin colored paper, tissue paper. And then put things in a Christmas bag. Yep, I definitely bought Christmas bags this year, little ones. And as you know, I had fun, painting some other things. But, I'm not going to stress out anymore. So I look at it and go, if you are stressing out, you caused it, and you will continue to create it unless you do something to change that. Jody's saying, I used to wrap all the gifts in one day, but it's too stressful on my hands now. So I try to wrap a few per day so it's not as painful. That is looking after you. The other thing is, in the old days, we could invite a friend over and you could all wrap together, and that would make it, a very sociable thing to do. So my question is, think about what you can do. Is there a friend that you've got that maybe you can Zoom together or something and just go, let's take an hour and just wrap as many presents as we can while we chit chat? Makes sense? So again, look for solutions, because worrying about it will not change it. Going, oh, I haven't, is a waste of time. You could be, getting the paper out in that time. Let me ask you, if you haven't got enough, has everybody got enough packing materials? All right. If not, has anybody found any great ways to seal a package if you haven't got enough tape left? I must admit, I did buy plenty of tape. I've got enough for the next 6 years. So, yeah, think about those things. And if there are any things that you can think of that would help somebody else. A glue stick works. If you have a glue stick at home, before the fire, I had a box full of different, tapes. I'm not joking. Tapes, glues, a cubie full of all those things. But of course, now I don't have them anymore. Life is a bit more difficult. People, the things we do to ourselves. How many of you just need to Relax. Thank you, Wanda. Wanda's saying, if you don't have glue, use ribbon. If you don't have paper, use newspaper and ribbon, all right? Or, how many of you can remember doing Mod Podge with flour and water? Maybe you can just do, rip up some newspaper and make it pretty over a box. What if you just draw a star on a box? It's about, this is called do what you can, because really what they're after is the fact you gave them something. Interesting, Jody's saying for a small gift, use leftover fabric. Yes, or a scarf, or maybe a tea towel. If you, it's a great way to wrap a gift. And let's keep on that. What else? The tea towel would work. What else would work? Yes, Jeannie's saying she reuses brown boxes, right? Yeah, the cardboard boxes. So I would say this Christmas, more than anything in an Amazon box people will love. Just huck it in another Amazon box and close it up and just say, this is my wrapping paper. Because if you think about it, how much landfill is going to be filled up with Amazon boxes this year? Interesting. Jody said she once got a gift that was wrapped in an extension cord. How clever is that? What a great idea. That's a very useful thing to receive. So let's be creative. And the worst comes to the worst. I want to tell you something. The sort of friends I've got, I could literally walk up and go, well, here's the gift. I'm not going to give you the story about the wrapping problem, but here's my gift. And, they would just crack up. They would just crack up laughing because that's so me, Or I just hold it behind my back, because I can't get close to them anyway. And I just go, I'm going to put the gift on, but I didn't waste money on the wrapping paper this year. Think about that. Make it an environmentally intelligent thing to do. That I've decided to, save money for the environment this year and not do wrapping paper that will just go in the landfill. The other thing I would really encourage you to do, and I'm certain a lot of my viewers do it, which is do not throw tissue paper away if you can help it. Tissue paper, if you've got a lot of leftover tissue paper, great thing to cover those Amazon boxes with. Just huck some flour and water and put them over there and left, old Christmas paper that you've still got, but you never use it. Just rip it up into different things and put some over. It works. So I think it's very clever to get creative. If you are, how many of you have got wool or crochet thread, crochet cotton coming out of your gazoos? If you've run out of ribbon, use wool. So, it's like there are so many things if you really want to. If you can't find anything else, do you have some string? Because, newspaper with string looks very pretty, surprisingly enough. And I would really take it as an environmental moment and just go, I didn't want to buy paper that was going to end up in the landfill. I decided to reuse newspaper. Everybody can relate to that. And I think it's a good thing for us to do. And I do believe that the amount of cardboard that will end up in the landfill this year because of the amount of stuff that's been bought from Amazon this year is going to be horrific. And I'm really trying to find a better use for it. Jody's saying to Wanda, and don't worry. Sal reads my typos. She's used to them now. Do you know, I read everybody's typos because that's not the issue for me. The issue for me, what was the intent of what they're trying to say? And, you know, I'm just very grateful. Thank you for knowing me that well. So everybody, chill. It's Christmas. Just take it easy. It's Christmas. Stop and then write your list again. It's Christmas. Ask yourself, what do I not have to do? Be kind to yourself. Ask yourself what you don't have to do, that you just are causing yourself this stress. All right? Just because you would like to be able to do it, but doing it will cause you more stress. Don't do it. I always think to myself, will my friends really care? No. I'm not joking. I cannot think of any of my friends that wouldn't just burst out laughing if I was not perfect at Christmas. All right? And, you know, even if I made chocolates that didn't look as good as I wanted them to. By the way, I am so glad I did the experiment on those peanut butter cups because they really are good. Tonight, I am going to try the same idea, but I'm going to put marshmallow in them. I'm going to do it with white chocolate with marshmallow in. That's the last one I'm going to do, I think. And then what I'm thinking, because I've got way too much chocolate on hand now and not enough time, is I'm thinking I might make tiny little cakes, you know, with a cake mix, and then dip them in chocolate and make them as nice little bites. Now, the other thing that I keep thinking is I've done a lot of chocolate and baking type things, but here's the thing, almost everybody I know probably shouldn't be eating them. I'm not going to worry about that. You know, that's not the point. The point is that I took the time to do it. And that to me is way more important. Now, the other thing I've got a problem with is for some reason I cannot get my printer to work properly with the system here where I am. And, you know, it's just like I'm going to have to handwrite a lot of what the chocolates are. I don't care. I'll give it one more go tonight. And if it doesn't work tonight, I'm going to stop wasting time on it. And I'm going to just handwrite them and go, this is what this chocolate is. You need the recipe. It's really simple. You take an ice cube tray, but the small ones. Hang on, let me find it for you. Hold on. All right, now, the first thing, Wanda, and everybody else, the first thing I need to remind you all is it is cheaper to go buy them, right? This is, as Jody so rightly said, why do I spend $25 buying something that and not buy something that cost me 25 cents? All right, so here's the thing. Milk chocolate, and then you put chocolate at the bottom of each one of these, and then paint the sides with chocolate. Let it sit, and then do the same again. Got that, Wanda? Then you've got the bottom and the sides coated in chocolate. Then put your peanut butter in. And I just used straight peanut butter. I didn't mix it with icing sugar or anything. I just did straight peanut butter. And then melt more chocolate and put it on top. Okay. Now then, I don't know if I can do this right here, which probably is not a good idea. Don't know if I can get one out properly. I'm hoping I can, because then I can eat it. Did I mess it up? I might mess it up in getting it out. So, oh, I messed it up getting it out. Okay. But basically, had I done it correctly, you end up with a chocolate-covered peanut butter. It's so good. Really good. I'll do the rest of them properly. It has protein, so it's clearly a health food. Exactly. And this is breakfast. And there's still half of it left in there, so I'm going to enjoy it. So, but you get the idea, Wanda. Takes a lot of time. It is very time intensive, but it's really good. I've got a couple of good things before I go. How many of you know that I'm talking about doing the Wii Fit? For those of you who've got Wii machines or not, let me tell you what I have done. You remember I said that I found out that just literally sitting, not walking, just literally sitting and doing the action of walking raises your blood, your heart rate. I wasn't quite sure how well it would do it, but what I started to do was to stand up, and instead of running inside, I've been like, how many of you remember the twist? Okay, so I've literally been doing like the twist instead of running. And what I've noticed is that I'm doing more and more of that stuff. Today, for those of you who know the Wii Fit, it has an island that you can walk around or run around. Where's my, oh. And the first time, when I first started using the Wii Fit, I couldn't walk all the way around. I couldn't concentrate for that long. And that is an interesting thing for those of you trying to exercise. Can you concentrate on doing nothing except exercise for 5 minutes? Because I found that was the challenge. To stop everything and just do some exercise. I wonder if that makes sense to anybody. And then, I got up to 10 minutes, and then now I can do half an hour of concentrating, going, okay, I'm going to do some exercise. And I can even do an hour now without too much trouble. I can make the time now. But what I wanted to show you was something that did surprise me. If I can find that picture. I literally walked like this without using my feet, just literally using the top half of my body, but doing the walking action around the island that they have on Wii. And it was amazing. It turned out that just, not running, not doing anything, brought me up a score of 96% using my energy. All right. So it was really good use of energy. And I was pretty impressed with that. And I thought, what happens if I do a second one? In other words, just start again and do exactly the same thing for another lap. The lap takes, about 14, 15 minutes. The second time, because I already was high, I was quite surprised. Look at what it came up at, 144%. So what I did without even lifting my legs, and I'm saying this for those people who are unable to stand, unable to run, unable to do anything, just literally doing this, but for a long time, is aerobic. Yeah, Wanda, I said wow as well. And I'm sharing it with you because, look at this, the burn rate was 144%. In other words, if I had been outside running, I probably wouldn't have got that burn rate. And here's what I realized that what it is consistently moving your body to a rhythm. What surprised me, and I didn't know that until I started this, is running and then walking a while, and then running and walking a while is not as aerobic as doing the same slow action over and over again for a long time. So if you run 20 paces, walk 20 paces, run 20 paces, walk 20 paces, it is not as aerobic as walking slightly. And literally, I sort of do like this. And if I get really bored, I will put one foot forward and go like this. And then I'll put one foot back and do it. And then put one foot to the side and put a lot of weight on one side. And then, you understand what I'm doing? I am literally not worried about physically running. I am doing the same exercise over and over again. And the burn rate was 144%. So that is an interesting bit of learning. And if I stop eating chocolate, wine gums, licorice all sorts, baking, I might even lose weight. This is DearMamaSal saying, I hope that you enjoyed today's broadcast, and I hope that you all have an absolutely wonderful Christmas. Wonderful Christmas. And make it as best as you can. Don't judge yourself or others by the quality of the gifts. This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you so much for being here. Let's hope we're all here next year. Bye-bye for now.